Cincinnati Bengals draft season coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim. We are live talking all things Bengals tonight, especially with the draft right around the corner. Zim, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I lit a fire under a bunch of people earlier today talking about Bengals injuries and all these different things that I feel like a lot of people have counted us out. So that in addition to just the everyday rigors of going to work and doing a bunch of stuff that I don't want to do, I am so damn happy to be here tonight at 8 p.m. sharp. Cincinnati, we're back, baby. Let's get it.
We are back, and today we have a special guest. We are going to be joined by draft insider Tony Pauline to talk all things Bengals with the draft. He also recently dropped some gems on the Trey Hendrickson situation, so we'll be getting to that. But up next, we'll be bringing in Tony Pauline.
Hey, what's up, Bengals fans? Mike Hilton. I'm on the Cincinnati pod with Ace and Zim.
All right, we are going to welcome in draft insider Tony Pauline. Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast, Tony. How you doing tonight?
I'm okay. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. I think the timing of this was perfect. We just dropped a story about Trey Hendrickson the other day. Kind of talk to the people about what the ramifications of that story may mean for the Trey Hendrickson situation.
Well, you got to go back. Actually, right before the combine started, I had written a story about Trey Hendrickson and what the options were. And people close to him told me that they thought that the Bengals would trade him. Now, we've gone through, a couple of situations with the Bengals, with T. Higgins, with Jamar Chase. And, Trey Hendrickson wants a contract. He wants a bigger contract. He wants to get paid what he's worth, or what he feels he's worth. He's got 1 year left. And as has been put out there, that the Bengals told his agent, you can seek a trade if you want to. Now, what I did was I talked to people in the inside the league to find out when they think or how many pass rushers are going to go in the first round, because you have your top three pass rushers. You got Abdul Carter, Penn State, and the two Georgia kids, Mikael Williams and Jalen Walker. When is that next group going to go, and how many are going to go? And they told me, watch the Bengals, because the Bengals could be the starting point, the takeoff point for where the rest of the pass rushers come off the board, starting in the mid part to late part of round one. And if the Bengals do take a pass rusher, look for them to trade Trey Hendrickson on draft weekend. That kind of has taken a life of its own, as I've seen on Twitter, as you guys have talked about. Now, you got to remember, the Bengals hold all the cards here, because even if they find a trading partner for Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals are going to have to get what they feel is compensation that they deserve for Trey Hendrickson. I don't think the Bengals really want to trade Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson doesn't want to leave Cincinnati. I just don't know if the Bengals really want to give Trey Hendrickson the long-term contract, or the contract that he, I believe, deserves, because he was a great signing by the Bengals. He's been a terrific player. He's great in the locker room. He wants to stay there, but the Bengals may not want to fork over the money and start over with a new pass rusher that they take with that 17th pick, and then move on from Trey Hendrickson and get draft capital. But again, the Bengals hold all the cards in the hold all the cards as far as this situation is concerned. Remains to be seen.
The part about I'm sorry. The part in the story and some of the reports that I think came in the aftermath of your article were kind of leading people to believe that they would do a trade with Trey Hendrickson after the draft. What is that about? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, or they could do it during. Yeah, they could do it during the draft. They want to secure their pass rusher at 17, and then that will be the sign that they're ready to move on from Trey Hendrickson. But again, they don't have to trade Hendrickson. I know that they want to trade Hendrickson, and I know that Hendrickson himself wants to remain a Bengal. So unless they get what they feel is fair compensation, if not more, they may not move him at all. People have told me all along they think it'll happen. If it happens, it'll happen on draft day or draft weekend after the Bengals select the pass rusher. I haven't heard too many people that say it'll happen beforehand, primarily because, like I said, and I'm being redundant, and I apologize, the Bengals don't have to trade him.
Right. No, that's real. You kind of mentioned the edge rushing class there. Obviously, the Bengals also have a need at guard and defensive interior. Are there some prospects that you think that you could see the Bengals taking in that scenario outside of an edge rusher? And if there is an edge rusher, which edge rushers do you think the Bengals would kind of target in that situation?
Well, I just submitted a mock draft, which will be up on Friday, and at 17, I had the Bengals taking Mike Green in the first round. As far as the guards are concerned, I don't know. I mean, Tyler Booker's not worth that early of a pick. You're looking at maybe Kelvin Banks and moving him to guard, but I don't think Kelvin Banks is going to be there. I think he's going to come off the board 11 to San Francisco, possibly 10 to Chicago. So any guard that they would take at 17, in my opinion, would be a reach. As far as defensive tackles, I think early on I had them taking Kenneth Grant in some of my mock drafts, but I think when you stack it up, Green is better than any of the Green or even James Pierce, who I happen to like a lot, is going to be higher rated than a Kenneth Grant or a Walter Nolen or any of those other defensive tackles.
I feel like some of the guys that they already have in the building, like the Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson and stuff, kind of push the Kenneth Grant conversation to the side a little bit. I got to go back to the Trey Hendrickson part about the drafting the edge rusher at the very beginning, right? What would be the downside of the Bengals finally? I know they already have Myles Murphy on the roster. They re-signed Joseph Osai to a one-year deal. From what you've heard or just your opinion, what would be the downside of them adding a pass rusher at pick 17 like a Mike Green, or I even tweeted out earlier, having James Pierce on the opposite side of Trey Hendrickson?
There would be no downside except, at the end of the year, you're going to have to make a decision, are you going to pay Trey Hendrickson or you're going to let him walk and get some compensatory picks? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a belief that you can never have enough pass rushers. So adding a Mike Green or James Pierce and keeping Trey Hendrickson, I don't think there's any downside of that. The only downside would be is if there's a really good offensive lineman there or there's a good defensive tackle there that you pass up in lieu of one of those pass rushes. But I don't see that happening.
What do you think his value is, though? And like, just, from what you've gathered, in my mind, I think a team like the Commanders at the end of round one, I'm a Bengals fan, so my opinion might be jaded. But what do you like? I would say pick number 29 for Trey Hendrickson. What do you think that the feeling is around the league?
I think that's a little bit early, especially because he's a bit of an aging veteran. You mentioned the Commanders. I think you'd also have to throw the Eagles into that mix, maybe the Ravens. I mean, those are two teams that, want a veteran pass rusher. Would the Eagles be willing to part with the 32nd pick of the draft? I mean, you look at what DK Metcalf, what DK Metcalf, the Seahawks got for DK Metcalf, a mid-second round choice. I think it would be more second round, third round this year, a third and a fourth round this year, third round this year, and third round next year for Trey Hendrickson. I would be shocked if they get a number one for him.
No, for sure. Walter Nolen, he's kind of seen as originally he kind of was the guy. There's been some kind of stuff that's come out that's kind of pushed him down a little bit. Do you see him as a first rounder, or is he a guy that could be possibly available on day two?
I did a 2-round mock draft, and Walter Nolen fell out of the first round and was scooped up early part of round 2 by, I believe it was, let me check here, I think it was Jacksonville. Yes, because I had Jacksonville taking Armand Membo in the first round. So if Walter Nolen is not a late first-round pick, he's going to be an early second-round pick. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there. I think my the bigger issue I had with Walter Nolen was I like Walter Nolen. I think he's very explosive. He's a playmaker. He's got to get a little bit bigger, but he was terrible at the Senior Bowl. And, that is a marking point. That is something that's very important moving towards the draft. He was handled daily at the Senior Bowl, and I was excited to see him play at the Senior Bowl, and he just did not live up to expectations against interior offensive linemen that were good, not great. I mean, middle round guys, day 3 guys were handling him and the Walker kid from Kentucky that's fallen off the draft boards.
What's the general me and my partner Ace, we were having this conversation. What's the general idea that, like say you have a couple defensive linemen already on the team, like I mentioned, Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, they just got the kid Slayton. So they have like a nice, a bit of a rotation there, whatever. Is the overall feeling on 3 techs and D-line and interior D-lines, do people feel comfortable if drafting them in the first round at all? Like if is there like this feeling that you could get the next Aaron Donald, or you could go get the next Geno Atkins, or is that something more taboo where people are just feeling like, we could just you can always get a 3 tech like later on? Like, are people even willing to do that in the first round?
Depends on the player. You can't broad brush it. You can't just have this mentality on the defensive line saying, well, we're going to get a 3 technique in day 2 or the early part of day 3. If you can get that type of guy who looks like he's going to be a special player, who's going to cause immediate impact, that's going to have a long career in round 1, you take him on the defensive line, because it's such a priority position. It can be such a disruptive position for opponents. So it's not like safety. It's not even like running back these days where you say, all right, well, we'll wait to the day 2 to get our guy. No, defensive line. If there is a good defensive lineman staring you in the face, doesn't matter whether he's a 3 technique, doesn't matter whether he's a nose tackle, he's going to impact your defense. You take him in round 1.
Will Johnson, he's been another guy that was, coming into the season before he was injured. Right. Most people consider him a top 10 kind of pick. Is he a possibility for the Bengals at 17, or a team drafting in that range? Is he actually possibly going to be available around that time?
Well, I think it's going to be tough for him to get to the Bengals, because you look at the teams drafting in front of him, the Dolphins, and I think the Falcons are definitely the Dolphins. I think also the Falcons are a team that can use a cornerback. So I would be very surprised if he falls to the Bengals. If he does, I think it's more of a situation because he's getting bad reviews from the Michigan coaching staff versus a turf toe injury. And I agree with you. I mean, coming into the season, I thought Will Johnson was not just top 10, was top 5.
Right.
Because you watch the 2023 film, and quarterbacks just didn't even challenge him because that's how good he was. This year he had the injury. It was a different sort of scheme. They had him backed off the line of scrimmage. He gave up a lot of receptions, gave up a lot of underneath receptions, seemed a little bit disinterested at times. I don't know what the entire story there was, whether he was not happy with the scheme, whether the injury was bothering him so much. But the play this year, for this 5 or 6, however many games he played, really left a lot to be desired.
You've been pretty accurate. You've been pretty accurate on a bunch of stuff, like I think in the Bengals history, and I think that's how you came on my radar, like in the past. What is your connection with the Bengals, and where do you get that? Because from most people, they don't have any insight to the Bengals, so it's really like fans speculating, and people like the Adam Schefters of the world, they just don't have any solid connections with the Bengals.
Yeah, I think Bengal fans fell in love with me when I made that John Ross prediction. When people were saying that John Ross was going to fall in the first round, I said, no, the Bengals are taking him with the 10th pick of the draft. If I tell you what my connection is, it won't be my connection anymore, right? Exactly. So, better less said.
No, for sure. Jihad Campbell.
Like, you know what? I had a cousin or something that used to be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
No. I have no relatives that live in the state of Ohio. I had a former uncle, but he was from Youngstown. He had nothing to do with the Bengals.
Got you. Jihad Campbell's been another hot topic. He's got the injury going on. Do you see him possibly being in the mix in the first round, or do you see him falling out of the first round?
No, I think he's going to go bottom third of round 1. In my mock draft, I had him going to the Green Bay Packers. He can play outside. He can play over the slot. He can play nickel. You look at most depth charts today, they've got 3 cornerbacks starting. Your nickel's a corner. Has had 2 real good seasons, showed a lot of progress in his game. I don't think the injury is going to hurt him all that much unless they think it's, really he's not going to be starting on the field for a while.
For me, so Ace asked so Ace is giving intel on who he wants in Will Johnson. That was my original draft crush. Mine and everybody that follows my stuff has been saying I'm Jihad Campbell.
Yeah.
And I want the Bengals to take him at pick 17. Tell me why the Bengals would be even willing to pass on a Jihad Campbell at pick 17.
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, I don't think he's worth the 17th pick of the draft. I think he's more of a bottom of third round 1 type of guy. I do like Jihad Campbell, but I think, with some of the pass rushers that'll be available, some of the other positions that'll be available, if they want Jihad Campbell, they're better off trading down, into the bottom half of round 1 and then taking him there. Now, that said, in round 2 of my 2-round mock draft that will be on Sportskeeda later this week, I actually do have the Bengals taking Carson Schlesinger of UCLA in the 2nd round. And there's a guy who a lot of people think could slide into the late part of round 1, but the way everything fell and the fact that, the way my mock draft fell, Jonas Severnaya and Tyler Booker were off the board when the Bengals were picking at the 49th pick, as were the top defensive tackles. Tyleik Williams was off the board. Some of the other guys were off the board. That's why I went with Schlesinger for the Bengals in round 2.
So another big conversation that's happening right now is the quarterback position. Now it's unrelated to the Bengals. However, it's still related, right? Because depending on how many quarterbacks go before the Bengals draft, that determines who may be on the board. Is it a situation? It seems like Shedeur is kind of sliding a little bit. Are there any surprises that you see at the quarterback position this season?
I mean, you're right. Shedeur Sanders is sliding. I mean, the only surprise, in my opinion, you could have 3 quarterbacks going around 1, but that's only because they're gonna reach for a quarterback. I don't think Jackson Dart is a 1st-round pick. Could he go late 1st round? Possibly. I like Jalen Milroe all through the process up until November. I mean, if you follow my work, if you watch any of the podcasts I do, a draft season, I thought that he was a guy that could make a Jaden Daniels-like jump to the top of the draft, and it looked like he was going to do that through that Georgia game in early October, and then his game fell apart, and he was not good at the end of the season. He was not good at the Senior Bowl. He struggled to combine, but there's still talk that Jalen Milroe will be a 1st-round pick. And as someone said to me early on, hey, Anthony Richardson was the 4th pick of the draft. Why not Jalen Milroe being the 1st-round pick? And that makes a lot of sense. So I think that would be the surprise. I don't know that Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe, especially Jalen Milroe, will go before the 17th pick of the draft.
On the subject of guys like falling down in the draft, you've talked about 2 of the guys I wanted to ask you about earlier, but I just wanted to see, had you heard anything about it because I've been hearing mixed reviews on it. So Jihad Campbell, the injury that the shoulder injury that he suffered, and then not even an injury, but James Pierce, have you heard about anything where you see them sliding out of the 1st round, which I've heard that a couple of times today?
Yeah, I don't think Campbell's going to I think Campbell, if he slides out of the 1st round, it's because the edge rushers are pushed up. There are a lot of edge rushers and defensive tackles taken in round 1, especially the bottom half of round 1. I don't think Jihad Campbell is going to fall specifically because of his injury. It's just that teams want players, on the defensive line or that can rush the passer. James Pierce, it's going to be an interesting, story to watch. I mean, there are some people that say he's a horror off the field. There are some people that say, listen, he's got so much talent. He's got so much upside. It's just insane. 6'4.5", 45 pounds. He ran what he ran at the combine, and he plays to that speed. And he's not just an up the field guy. He's got to get a little bit bigger and stronger. I have him going 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. There are some teams that like we couldn't draft them because of all the off the field issue. But remember, it only takes one team. I mean, Mike Green's got some issues from the past, although I don't want to say he's been exonerated of them. He was never charged for them, and you're supposed to be innocent until you're found guilty. It's all in the eye of the beholder. But the thing is this, when you talk about edge rushers, when you talk about guys that can get up the field and disrupt the action, that is a priority position. That is what teams like. And oftentimes, they will basically turn their head for things that other people may not be willing to turn their heads on.
Yeah. Well, Tony, we appreciate you for being generous with your time. Before you get out of here, I wanted to ask you about the safety position. Are there any safeties that you kind of see going within the first 2 rounds of this NFL draft?
Well, yeah, you'll have Eminawari of South Carolina. I believe he's going to be a top half of round 1 guy. Malachi Starks will be a middle of round 1 guy. Xavier Watts of Notre Dame is probably going to be a second-round pick. A third-round pick, Jonas Sanker of Virginia has moved up draft boards. So you can look at Jonas Sanker as a third-round, as a potential third-round pick. I think the wild card there would be Kevin Winston of Penn State. A guy who's incredibly explosive, great run defender. He's got excellent size, but only had really one big year on the college football field, played 2 games this year. Second game he played against West Virginia, he was good. A terrific run defender. People don't know about his ball skills, so he's a wild card. He's a bit of a risk. Is he a traditional strong safety? Is he a zone safety? How is he going to hold up against the pass on Sunday? A lot of questions there, but still, he's going to go day 2.
Oh, for sure. Can I ask one question too?
Ask me as many more questions you got.
All right, I gotta make sure I put a bow on this.
Okay.
What do you think, if you had to make an educated guess based off the information that you have, what do you think is the outcome of the Trey Hendrickson situation with the Bengals?
It's like I said, if you followed my reporting before the combine, I said that people thought he was going to be traded. That's the way it looks. I think he's probably going to be moved. I don't think it's the right move, but I think he's a guy that you should keep around. But so far that's the way it looks. Not just recently, but even before the combine, before the Bengals told his agent, you have our permission to go seek a trade.
Yeah. Well, Tony, you also mentioned that you have a mock draft coming out. You're doing some stuff with Sportskeeda. Please let the people know where they can find your stuff.
You just told them. Sportskeeda, or follow me on Twitter at Tony Pauline, or you can do what you guys did. Contact you guys about getting me a podcast. Credit to you guys for the effort that you put into it. Listen, as I tell my wife when she wants to know what I'm up to, I say just Google my name and you'll figure out where I'm at.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. You're a legend. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time out. And hopefully I'll see you down here in Florida soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Take care. That was Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst, has some really good information to give us on the Trey Hendrickson situation, certain things with the draft. As we get closer to the draft, what were some of the things that you took away from the interview, John?
That he said that he thought that he would get moved, and I just don't see it. I can't see it, and it's not because I don't want it to happen. Of course I don't want it to happen. I just don't see, and he brought up my number one word. He just was missing one. He's talked about the compensation, and for me, it's adequate compensation. I just can't see a world where anyone is giving the Bengals adequate compensation. We're saying that we're in a Super Bowl window. There's nothing anybody that could send us, even if it was a first round pick. Tony said that he thought pick 29 was probably too high, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing that even if somebody sent us pick 29, even if somebody sent us pick 20 something, you could project that it would be better than Trey Hendrickson, but you don't know that it's better than Trey Hendrickson. And to think that you could take first round, second round pick and supplement that, and then there's 17, like you're not getting 17 and a half sacks. So you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I don't think
world
he's
where you're getting
yeah.
adequate compensation.
Yeah.
There's no world where you're getting that. And so with that being said, I don't see the Bengals signing up for that. Like if they went and got a pass rusher, okay, we just got another one to go on the opposite side of Trey Hendrickson. Like I just don't, that doesn't make sense to me.
I think now he did say like the Bengals control the cards in this situation, right? But I think what he's probably hearing from like the Trey Hendrickson side of things is Trey is not playing ball with the Bengals. Like he's not going to do this situation where he's going to play out this last year, play under that. He does not seem like he wants to do that whatsoever. So if Trey isn't going to do that, and this is a situation where he's trying to force his way out of Cincinnati, then at this point, this is the last point for you to get something of Trey Hendrickson that could impact this season, right? Like the draft is literally the last, unless you're trading for another player, this is pretty much the last opportunity for you to get something that you could turn into something now, right? Like with the Carson Palmer situation, they had to wait until the next draft, right, to turn that into Marvin Jones, and I believe it was Marvin Jones and Drake Kirkpatrick, I believe is what it ended up being, or something, or Kevin Zeitler, one of the two. But no, I got that wrong. I think it was actually Giovanni Bernard and Drake Kirkpatrick or Kevin Zeitler. I think Ocho was actually the Marvin Jones one. So when they did that trade, that's what they did. But if this is a Super Bowl window and you do want to win now, if you have no option of Trey Hendrickson playing for you now, your best option probably would be to trade Trey Hendrickson. Now, I'm not saying to settle for a second pick or anything like that, but if you want somebody that's going to impact the team now, the only way that you're going to do that is trade Trey Hendrickson during the draft for some picks to be added to your roster. Now, or if you don't do that, you could trade him for a player, but that's pretty much all that you have.
No, that's not all you have.
if in the event that Trey Hendrickson says, I am not playing for the Bengals this year whatsoever.
Oh, well. I mean, I'm saying when he says you're holding the cards, you're literally holding the cards. Like, that's the nature of the business. Like, you're under contract. So just because you threaten to retire or whatever, like Mike Brown and them are not thinking like they're not going to feel no type of way about that. Like I wouldn't feel like I have to trade him because he said, because what would make me feel like I have to trade him?
If Trey Hendrickson says that I'm not showing up and I'm actually going through with the retirement thing and all of that, like I think at that point you have to get something. You have to get something for him.
I would say, yeah. Well, we'll see. I think you love football a lot. I think we're offering you a lot of money. I'm gonna say, you like football. We're offering you. You're walking away from $15+ million, even without an extension. I mean, I don't think that you could get that at home. If you sit at home, then you don't get an accrued year for sitting at home. So even if you come back next year and say, yeah, I want to play, you're still under contract. So see what I'm saying? That's when he says they hold the cards, people might feel like that's super cutthroat. And I think we need to figure out something so that you don't even have that type of situation. But literally, I know, like in a form of business, like there's nothing that would make me feel like I have to trade him.
So okay. So if it's a situation where you take Mike Green at 17, and let's say, like he's saying, Walter Nolen falls to the beginning of round 2, and let's say Jacksonville, let's just say Jacksonville calls you and is like, I got this pick, top 5 pick or whatever in the second round for Trey Hendrickson. You're not taking that?
That's the most perfect scenario that you could come up with. But I'm gonna ask you this. Right. Like now, me personally, I would take that, yes. But let me ask you this. Does Walter Nolen give you 17 and a half sacks?
I don't know. I don't think
so. No,
I don't think so. But but I could say does Walter Nolen plus Mike Green give you 17 and a half sacks? And I could say it's a possibility, bro.
It's a possibility. But
it's not guaranteed, though. But it's not guaranteed that Trey is giving you 17 and a half sacks 3 years in a row.
I know that Trey Hendrickson, even if he don't give me 17 and a half sacks, is not a prospect. Like, I know that he's giving me undoubtedly, you cannot one-on-one me the whole entire season, like, period. I don't know that from none of those dudes. And so when people say just make that move, I'm with you. I would do the deal that you just said. I just don't think that the Bengals see it like that. I really don't.
Here's the other thing, though. The Bengals seem to think they don't think Trey Hendrickson is getting 17 and a half sacks next season because they feel like because he's getting older, their issue is the risk of extending him is that he may not end up being Trey Hendrickson that we've seen the last 2 years. So that's a part of it as well that I think the Bengals are banking on, because I think if Trey Hendrickson isn't 30, I don't think that the Bengals are having an issue getting this deal done. I think that's causing some hesitation on their part. And I would say this, I'll go even further, just playing devil's advocate. There's no way to say that Trey Hendrickson can't go back to getting 8 sacks a season like he did before the 17 and a half sack season. And I think before that he had 12 or 13. So who's to say that he couldn't go back to the 8 sack season as well? I don't personally believe that, but if I'm the Bengals, I'm probably bringing that up if I'm negotiating with him.
I don't know. I even if it's like, I'm not trying to walk away from the sack, portion of it.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's any scenario where those guys give me the threat, the production, the pressures, the pass rush, the sacks. They don't give me that, and I don't have to trade Trey Hendrickson. I don't have to do it. Like, it would be one thing if I had to do it, but I don't have to do it. So if I don't have to do it, why would I be like, that's like me telling you right now, bro, you've been making $10,000 a month from a vending machine, but the building, everybody's complaining about the building and all the different types of stuff like that. But you're like, even if less people come to this vending machine, I know I just made all this money from this vending machine. I don't have to remove this vending machine from the place. Like, why are y'all trying to, like, make me feel like I have to, like, I don't like it. And I thought Tony Pauline was very key by saying those words. And I understand when they hold the cards. So no matter whatever scenario that you come up with, they don't have to do it. And that's my only point. It's like, they don't have to do it. And if he says, I want to walk away from the $80 million that I would have made with the Bengals, because he's already made like almost $70 million with the Bengals already or whatever, right? If he says that I don't care, I want an extension, no way that I'm playing whatever, I respect it. But at the same time, that's still a lot of money to walk away from. And I feel like they could figure something out. Them drafting the edge rusher, I think, is the exact opposite of what Tony Pauline was just saying to me. It was signaling to me like I got an edge rusher, and then I would call up. Then all the boys on the team would be like, "Hey Trey, we got you help, bro. Like, you're not gonna be by yourself, bro. They got James Pierce, they got Mike Green on the other side now, bro. Like, bro, Trey, come help us out, bro. We can go win the Super Bowl." And then I think the conversation would then be like, Trey would be like, "Hey, look. Like, these dudes are not budging. They're not giving us 3-4 years, but I feel like we could win a Super Bowl with this team." I just think that's a lot of money to walk away from. I know it's not the money that he's worth, but $15 million, $16 million or whatever he's currently under contract, that's just a lot of money just to walk away from. And Trey is a very unique individual. I can see him doing it. It's still a lot of money.
Would you risk that? Would you risk that money for 30 more million this season? Like, if a team is willing, like, yes, 11 or whatever it is a lot of money, but it's not 40 million that someone is getting. So like, we're talking about possibly he could get 3 times more if he does try to get out of this situation and say, like, if he does want to play hardball with Mike Brown.
I think that the conversation is, Trey wants guarantees and
right. Your mic just went out.
He wants years in extended time, right? If you're just telling me 30 million, I think the Bengals will sign up for 30 million. I'm just speculating, but I think that they will sign up for 30 million for the 2025 season. Give him an extension on there. They might give him a 2-year where they have a way that they could walk out of it, which he wouldn't like because he wants multiple years and he wants a 2nd year guarantee from what I've gathered from what he said. I think the Bengals, I think that that's the cutoff. It's not really the dollar amount portion of it. I think as it pertains to the cap, once they get Pratt and Moss off the books, the money for the cap space and everything will be right there for Trey. I just think that the conversation is Trey probably wants a 3-year, 4-year extension, something crazy. Like 4 years is crazy to me. But like say it's a 3-year and the Bengals are like, we'll give you our traditional contract structure 2 years or something like that. And only 1 year is guaranteed. And he's probably drawn a hard line and said, no, I'm not doing that. I think if they said, all right, let's just give you 30 million, which you were for the 2025 season, I think Trey would have to think about that. Because again, that's a lot of money to walk away from. And if I'm the Bengals, I'd be telling them, look, it's not that we don't believe in you. It's just the way that we want to do it versus what you want. We have a disagreement, right? If there was another team that would give us what the worth that you're saying that you're worth multiple years at $30 million. So why are they not sending us a 1st-round pick? So that's why I asked Tony Pauline that question. If he's
I think the reason why is because he's 30. You have to pay him if you're guaranteeing that you're going to pay him 38 something million per year. You have to equate that into what you're giving up as a draft pick. I think if you're giving now, if he was willing to take 25 or something, yes, somebody probably would give you a 1st-round pick for him. But to give you my 1st-round pick, and then I also have to turn around and pay this man 38 million a year, that's the only reason why.
Not 38. But
I think he's close to that, bro. I think another team would give him 38. I truly do. Like 38 isn't more than Myles Garrett. I think it's a little bit more than the guy from Minnesota. Like I think that 38, and then you're talking about possibly Micah Parsons resetting it. I don't think 38 is too crazy to ask for from someone like him.
I think from what he said that he doesn't want to get the high. He's not trying to get the high.
He doesn't want to be number one. That is, right. But he also mentioned he's in the neighborhood of those guys. So okay.
The neighborhood of those guys is 32 and 33. That's Crosby, Danielle Hunter. Those are the guys that he wouldn't be 38 because he knows that he's older than Max Crosby. So like neighborhood
is significantly more sacks than Max Crosby. Like he's
still younger.
He's closer to TJ Watt and Myles Garrett than he is to Max Crosby.
He's still younger.
But Myles Garrett is older as well. Like Myles Garrett
is the number one defensive player in the whole entire NFL. Like his market is closer to what I'm saying is Danielle Hunter and the Crosby to 33, 34. If it ends up being a little bit more than that, I don't know. I think that I wouldn't do that either. But my point is, from a different standpoint, I'll give you a different scenario. If I'm the Commanders, I'm the Eagles, or I'm the Lions, I say that I'm trying to go win a bowl right now. I'm not tripping off of what I'm about to send this dude. Like say the 1st round happens. Yeah, we do take James Pierce. We do take Mike Green. I mean, somebody else takes Mike Green, Falcons second, whatever, right? You come down to the board and it's pick 28, 29. You're the Lions, the Eagles, or the Commanders. You don't like any of the edge rushers that are left. You got a quarterback on a rookie contract if you're the Commanders. You got cap space, like, you know what I'm saying? In all of those other two scenarios, you got a guy that you know for the next 2-3 years is going to be like in your team, like on the Lions or on the Eagles. Right. Bro, he might have 20 sacks.
And by the way,
Max Crosby,
Max Crosby and Danielle Hunter are both making $35 million a year. So 35 would be the number. I get it, bro. But having to also pay $35 million a year is what makes it. I think that's the only thing that makes it that they don't want to pay that.
I'm just telling you from a commander standpoint. Imagine us when we had Joe Burrow. They got their Joe Burrow right now, right?
Right.
I'm not playing around with no prospects trying to figure out whatever. The guys that I like, they're gone. I say I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. I know when I get off of that rookie contract, like I'm never going to be able to afford a Trey Hendrickson. Anyway, if I'm going to get a Trey Hendrickson, it's right now.
Yeah. We'll have to see, man. I feel like if they could have gotten a first round pick, I think teams would have gave it to him already. And I think now maybe the Eagles might be the one team that's like, this is basically almost as I wouldn't want to trade them to the Eagles, bro. But the Eagles kind of are in that area that you're talking about, like wanting to go back and compete for a Super Bowl again. And they're in a position where if they offer that pick is probably better than anything that Harry Roseman is getting that late in the draft for Trey Hendrickson.
I just feel like those guys would structure a contract with void years, and the money that we're talking about, they're not going to care nothing about it. I really don't think that they would. I don't think they would scoff at it. I think that it's a matter of them getting out and getting the better part of the deal. And I don't think any of those teams like
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt it, but Eric put it in the chat, and I thought he was lying. Luka Doncic just dropped 31 in the first half of this game. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
I don't think that they would be willing to say that they got the worst of the deal. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that that's really what it is. The Eagles have 20 picks in the next 2 years. Like, I don't think that they would really care about that pick like that, bro. They could finesse and get right back into the first. They could move around.
Yeah, I think they would be a key candidate to do it for sure. Like, I think you call Philly if that is the case. I do think I never thought that they would trade Trey after like picking a Mike Green. I always felt like, and I kind of talked about this on the last show, like they would call him to be like, hey, this is the deal. Take the deal, or we're going to take this edge rusher. Regardless, we're going to take him or not. Like, do you want this deal or not? And I feel like that could still possibly be like the Bengals' last play before they kind of go with this Trey Hendrickson situation. Because like Tony said, they hold the cards. So that's another play that they've done in the past with players when they're in contract negotiations that they could do. So it's gonna be intense. What did you think about some of the? So it seems like I need to kiss the Will Johnson dream goodbye. It don't seem like he's gonna be there. Seems like Jihad Campbell could be there though.
The linebacker that he was talking about, Carson, I like him a lot too. But I've been listening to a bunch of Colts podcasts and stuff, and a lot of their analysts believe there's no way he gets past pick 44. And Mel Kiper also championed that same sentiment. He had a special, and believe it or not, he had Jihad Campbell going to the Bengals. And then he had your boy TJ going to the Bengals second round. So the one thing I wish I would have asked Tony Pauline, it felt like he had a little bit more time, but I wish I would have asked him about his sleepers and guys that he liked later in the draft. I think when you asked him the guard question, he was thinking just first round. And in my mind, I'm like, just guard, period. Like, what are the guards that you like? Because I like both of the guards from LSU. I like the dude that they brought on the top 30 video, visit. The kid from Arizona, I believe. He's got a name I can't pronounce, but I like that guy too. So I didn't know. I wanted to see what he thought about like some of the later ones.
Right. Nah, for sure. But yeah, man, was there anything? Are we supposed to have a mock draft tonight with one of the fans, or?
I think that's tomorrow. So we're doing a lunchtime special tomorrow. If you guys don't know, we're going to do a special with I'm sorry, my brain is like foggy as hell.
Jordan Schultz.
Yeah, but we're doing a special show tomorrow with Jordan Schultz. Little lunchtime action. So if you guys are around, guys and girls are around lunchtime, we're gonna have Jordan Schultz on there. Another key insider. He had a big off season, and he's still breaking news too. So we have him, and then I think we're gonna have a fan later on, right after that too. So please make sure y'all tune in to do that. We're gonna be picking fans randomly to do like mocks like throughout, so all the way up. We're only like 15 or I think like 15 days away from the draft. Am I correct? I think it's like the 26, 27.
Yeah, I don't know if the math is out or not on that one. But yeah, we have some jam-packed guest appearances for you guys to check out. So definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That will let you guys know and remind you just in case, because lunchtime is a busy time, so you might be out grabbing a bite to eat. So make sure you got that notification turned on, and make sure if you're grabbing a bite to eat tomorrow to stop by Midwest Best Barbecue.
Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure that you guys are putting your orders in with them. They're going to be doing some special things throughout the holidays and events. If you need catering for any kind of event, they also offer catering as well. I highly recommend that you check them out for that. Shout out to Tim and Nicole. You can catch them over there at 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. We got a couple of super chats here that I'm going to try to also get through. We got one from Zim's boy Fuzzy. If we got a low first round pick for Trey, we could package that with our first round and move up and take Travis Hunter. What are your thoughts on that? I don't think that's probably going to happen. I think Travis Hunter is probably going in the top 5.
Travis Hunter is 100% going to top 5. You're not getting nowhere near Travis Hunter.
Then we got another one here for Wonder Monk 73. Moving on from Trey will hurt like when we moved on from Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say. These are very similar situations. I think, however, Andrew Whitworth is a little older. But obviously, I think Trey Hendrickson, they just don't grow on trees. You can't just draft the next Trey Hendrickson and assume that Mike Green is going to be Trey Hendrickson. It just doesn't happen like that. To be honest, no offense to him, Carlos Dunlap wasn't Trey Hendrickson. So that's a hard person to replace from that perspective. I know that this is a football channel. Couldn't help but talk about the Lakers and the Luka situation going on. But with that being said, I want to thank Tony Pauline for popping on the show. I want to thank you guys for tapping in with the Cincinnati podcast. Zim, was there anything that you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Was that the only one? Was it, or is this from before? Oh, that was from before the Quiddy Pay one that he asked from before. All right, just going to make sure we got all the super chats. But yeah, appreciate Tony Pauline coming on. Make sure y'all follow his work on there. Just put in Tony Pauline on Twitter. We're going to keep on having really good guests. Again, check us out 12 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure y'all send this to whoever. I thought the Trey Hendrickson insight from him was pretty definitive, where he talked about where he thought that the Bengals are going to move him. I think that qualifies as breaking news. So make sure you tell people.
We should have asked him where he was going. Well, I guess he kind of the only one, the Baltimore one. I'm like, nah, we're not trading him to the Ravens.
Nah, man. I don't mind them going anywhere in the NFC. I really don't.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll see you when we see you. Speaking of Whitworth, I was telling my boy this real quick. I want to ask you this. Do you feel it? I know, like, if you're an older Bengal fan, you feel a certain type of way about, like, Joe Montana because he literally is the reason why you don't have 2 Super Bowls, right? Does a part of you feel like that a little bit? And I'm thinking about, like, say we trade Trey Hendrickson to like the Eagles. You know, one person I feel like that with, and I feel like he's super celebrated among our fan base. I feel like that about Andrew Whitworth. And then when he talks about us, he talks about how the Bengals can't win a Super Bowl with wide receivers, and we should have traded T. Higgins, and we should have did all these different things, right? But he's living proof that the Bengals did get to a Super Bowl. And the crazy thing is, if he doesn't play in this suit, I thought he was far more impactful in that game. Aaron Donald was very impactful in the second half. If Andrew Whitworth doesn't play in the game, the Bengals probably have a Super Bowl off of that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because my friend was like, but I mean, he's a legend. I'm like, bro, if he doesn't play, the Bengals have a Super Bowl.
If he doesn't play, I think, yeah, because he did a great job against Trey Hendrickson. Right. So
he shut him down.
So yeah, that could, yeah.
Every time he talks, this might just be me.
I think the Joe Montana guy though is Aaron Donald because he just, yeah, I don't even want to get into it, bro. Yeah,
Jerry's always on the show, and I respect it. But think about that. She says the Super Bowl loss stung, but I love seeing Witt get his ring. If Witt doesn't play in that game, you get a ring. And that's the part. And then when he talks about us afterwards, he talks about how the Bengals should construct their team, but he's living proof that the Bengals got to a Super Bowl doing it the way that he's saying don't do it. Like, the only thing that stopped us was kind of Whitworth packing up Trey Hendrickson. It's something to think about. Like every time I see him talk, I think about him like that. I don't look at Aaron Donald like that. I knew that Aaron Donald was going to be that's Aaron Donald. I never thought Trey Hendrickson would get. I mean, he got the first sack at the beginning, but I never thought he'd get blanked like that.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Appreciate you guys so much for tapping in with the Cincinnati podcast. We will see you guys tomorrow at noon.